Hello and welcome back to Grapple Theory. Thanks so much once again for joining us here on the show. Now today's guest is one of the top heavyweights at the minute on the Brit Rest scene. He's absolutely flying at the minute. He's got a couple of title belts to his name. He'd like to add a few more to them. I'm sure we'll find out more about that a lot later. But we're going to be talking to him about the Brit Rest scene, especially the northern scene, which is obviously a huge part of. You'll find that out soon enough. Or if you're reading the title of this video, then you already know. And we'll be talking to him about his early career trying to play rugby. We're talking to him about his love of jiu-jitsu and martial arts and plenty more besides, as well as the fact that he's, of course, one of the top heavyweights in the country at the moment. Please join me in welcoming the Headline Will Kroos to the Grapple Theory podcast. Will, thanks so much for joining us today. It's great to have you on. First of all, if you don't mind, talk to me a bit about a health update, because I know at the end of last year you picked up an injury. You're back wrestling now. Is everything 100% there?
It's still not 100%, but just with being unfortunately, independent wrestling doesn't really have much sick pay. So
yeah, tricky.
It's just got to the stage where I just need the money. So
sure, no.
In that regard, I'm hoping to be 100% by mid-February.
Okay.
As long as nothing happens between then and now, yeah. Hopefully by mid-February I'll be back to 100%.
Fab, that's good to hear. That's great to hear. I mean, in terms of that, and you speak about that sort of thing, is it tough when you're on shows, say like if you're booked for a show and you know you've sort of got this niggling little injury with you and you want to get back to 100%, is it tough to maybe, reel it in or maybe not go all out so that you don't aggravate it or anything?
Oh, for sure, yeah. I mean, every time I wrestle, I want to give like my 100% at the end of the day. People have paid money to see me perform, and if I'm not giving them the best of me, then I feel like I'm doing everyone a disservice. So it's very hard to like reel it in, or it's very much just I'll tape it up, see what goes, see what happens. So
no, yeah, fair enough.
Touch wood, everything will be fine, and
I'm sure. No, I'm sure it will, absolutely. And I mean, again, as well as, obviously you mentioned needing the money, but also is it sort of like, and I'm not talking about just yourself, but with indie wrestlers in general, is there that eagerness to get back when you're on the shelf and you see all the other guys and girls putting on great performances and you're like, I just want to be back in there?
Yeah. I mean, I went down to Progress and Tuesday Night Graps this week with Gene Money. Just not that I was booked on the show anyway, but like not fully fit, and seeing everyone doing so well, it's very, I envy everyone who is fit and is wrestling and stuff. So yeah, it is very much a I want to get back there and do it. There's never a good time to be injured or just watching from the side.
No, for sure.
Perform and compete. Yeah.
No, absolutely. And we've actually, a few indie guys have said that we've spoken to about the fact that, not necessarily through injury, but just if they go to a show and they're going to show as a fan, they find it weird watching from the sideline when like the others are in the ring. They're like, I just want to be in there doing it. Like,
yeah, it's tough, but it's just one of them things.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, let's talk about, in that case, the rest of the year, coming back, hopefully get back to full fitness and your hopes for 2022. Obviously, I'm sure you want to add to your already impressive belt haul that you've got.
It's always nice, having companies put their faith in me, and it's very humbling that people are willing to put all their, like, especially when it's like their top belt. It's very like amazing. Well, it's just amazing that people have that faith in me to be the face of their brand and hopefully carry it into the future and progress with it. In terms of like where I want to be though and what I want to be doing, Pro Wrestling Noah is my goal in Japan. I don't feel like I will have an opportunity this year, or it's tough. I don't want to say I'll have the opportunity, but especially with the whole COVID situation and visas, I feel like it, for someone who's not probably known to them, it'll be even different. It'll be more so harder this year for me to get a sniff. With the current climate of COVID and them not issuing visas. However, that's my long-term goal. So that'd be nice. But in terms of like British wrestling and like making my name over here. You know, progress. Progress is definitely the top of my list, and fingers crossed. Fingers crossed, I can have some dealings with them this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they'd be fools not to book you. You're doing so well at the minute. So, like, I mean, if anyone from Progress is watching this, get Will on your show. What are you doing? But you mentioned Japan there, and that's something I was going to come on to later. But as you mentioned it, we'll come on to it now because obviously you're killing it up north. Like the northern scene is just flying at the minute, and you're really at the forefront of that as part of that. But is that an ambition as well to, you know, maybe go Japan, maybe Europe, or also again, like you mentioned with Progress, just further down south, like you know, London and southern areas of England? The areas you haven't quite dominated yet.
Sorry?
The areas you haven't quite dominated yet.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, for me, I want wrestling to be my full-time job. You know, I want to be I want to be anywhere and everywhere. You know, so whether that be down south, whether that be in Europe, I want to be one of the guys who has the schedule of, you know, one weekend they'll be killing it in America, maybe with a British belt, you know, coming back, killing it for a week in on the British Indies, you know, and then maybe going over to Japan for a few weeks, you know. That is the ideal schedule I want. I want to run the Indies, as they say.
Absolutely, absolutely. It won't be long. I can't imagine it'll be long until you do. But we'll talk about that as well in terms of hopes. You mentioned Progress specifically, but in terms of like people you'd want to face, are there any people out there at the minute up and coming, or people who have been on it for a while who'd be like, yeah, I'd really like to challenge them?
I think Dan Maloney's a big one for me. You know, with him being around the top for so long, and with him being my age as well, I'd love to step in there with Dan and, you know, just see what happens. I feel like it'd be great. Cara Noir is another one. I used to, when he first started doing Cara Noir at Hope Wrestling, I was there, not on every show, but I'd be there at every show, like watching or maybe even on the show. But, you know, just watching him, it was breathtaking, you know, watching him do his whole deal. And he's a hell of a performer as well. So he's someone who I'd love to wrestle. In terms of like non-British talent, I'd love to wrestle Brody King. I feel like me and him would kill it.
Yeah.
That's a big one for me. There's loads of names in Japan who I want to wrestle, but obviously that's for the whole reason of me wanting to go there. But in terms of like on the British Indies, I want to have good matches with everyone. It doesn't matter who I wrestle. I just want to wrestle, have great matches, and, you know, put British wrestling back to the top where it should be, you know.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And you've been doing that. You really have. So, I mean, congrats for that first off, and I'm sure there's more to come as well. But talking about that sort of, you know, you mentioned Dan and as well Brody, and those are two sort of like quite big like powerhouses wrestling wise, and I put you in that category as well.
Sure.
Is it the sort of thing where you prefer going up against those sort of like those bigger guys like yourself, or, you know, do you feel like you can mix it with anyone, you know, the high flyers and anyone like that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I feel I'd be able to give the people a better. Well, no, not. I'd say I'd give. No, I can. Yeah, I'd say I can hang with anyone really. It's just for my style of wrestling, what I much prefer. I very much prefer, you know, going and battering each other. You know, so. But in terms of like high flyers, I'll happily mix it up with anyone. I mean, one of my best matches from last year was with Robbie X, who's for anyone's money is probably the best, you know, junior heavyweight we have. Obviously, opinion and styles aside, you know, Rob's someone who can go in there. You can do your main event match. You can open the show. He can give you all the high flying moves. You know, he can give you that story. So Robert, yeah, I'd say I can go in there with anyone and still give a really good match. But for personally, for my style and what I prefer, it's definitely the big man smashing each other.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And we'll talk about as well. We'll talk about Tidal in a second and places like that, and BWR, where you hold belts at the minute. But I think if we go back to like sort of the beginning of your career, I think a lot of people who follow the beginning of your career, like myself, would know you from, like you mentioned before, Hope and Fight Factory as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you feel like those two promotions in particular sort of gave you that platform that you've now built on, that you sort of grown on and learned from?
Fight Factory definitely gave me my start. I mean, some of the guys they put me in there with when I like in my first few months there, definitely like gave me a sense of wow, this is what wrestling, like professional wrestling, independent wrestling is about. This is what you have to do. What you got to do. In terms of Hope, that was definitely more a sense of, because Fight Factory was more like homegrown talent, and then bring occasional import in, whereas Hope was genuinely just independent talent from all over. It wasn't a homegrown company. So in that sense, that was definitely like this is how like independent shows can be run and stuff, and the crowd and different workers from elsewhere. So yeah, definitely, I feel they gave me a sense for it, and I'm very grateful for what they did for me when I first started.
For sure. And a bit of a sort of like a two-part question, if you will, in this part. Obviously, you had a couple of years in the business before pandemic, and now obviously you're starting up again. So, I mean, overall, because you started in 2017, wasn't it?
I did a bit of training in 2016, but my first match was at 2017.
Yeah, so you had like 3 years in, and then we had the pandemic, and obviously everything shut down for a bit.
Yeah.
And it felt like, obviously, you'd had your hands on the Tidal Championship in that time anyway, but it felt like really leading up to the pandemic, like to lockdown, that you were really starting to find your stride.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean, sorry, go on.
Is that the two part?
Well, no. So that's the first. The first part is like you were really starting to find your stride, and it must have been frustrating when lockdown came down and sort of halted that. But then coming back from lockdown, you obviously you got your hands on the BWR title and the Tidal title again. So it must have been nice to, again, the second part is that it must have been nice to come back and sort of see that momentum hadn't been halted in a way maybe you might have thought it had been when lockdown hit.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely right. When lockdown happened, the few weeks before that, I won. Well, I won the PCW Road to Glory tournament. I got to wrestle 5 imports, who are each to their own, doing their thing on the indies. And I think I wrestled Black Taurus as well, and he's now signed to Impact. That was cool because he was the first person I'd wrestled who was not fluent in English. So that was cool to like see how I do, and yeah, it was completely fine. I mean, I think wrestling is such a universal language. It doesn't really make a difference how fluent someone is in English, or if I'm not fluent in Spanish, But yeah, in terms of momentum as well, like I'd just been to WXW in Germany for a week, trying to branch out and make connections over there. And then the week we went into lockdown, I was supposed to debut for ICW, so which is obviously one of the bigger indies in the UK. So yeah, it was very. I did feel like I was finally getting that momentum, and that things could finally be happening for me. So it was very frustrating for me, but obviously everybody was in the same boat. So I can't complain really, but yeah, since coming back, I made it my mission to just hit the ground running, try and pick up from where I left off, even though it was very difficult, with people not knowing what the fans are going to be like, what shows are going to be like, whether COVID would affect the attendance or people's, and everything what happened in the summer as well of 2020. It was just, I just wanted to make sure I hit the ground running, I did everything right, and then hopefully I'd pick up where I left off. And to a sense, I feel like I did. I'm a very high achiever and overachiever. So to me, I'll never really be happy with what I'm doing. But yeah, certainly going into lockdown was a big blow for me, and especially in terms of the momentum side. And plus, I was 20. How old was I? 2020. How old am I now? 25. I was 23. So yeah, I'm 26 this year. So those 2 years have flown by, and I feel like I'm not getting any younger now, even though I am only 25. Real life is starting to creep up on me. Housing, I'm getting a house, and been with my partner for so long. Starting a family, all that adulting and real life stuff is slowly creeping up on me. So
no, I get you. Yeah. I'm similar age bracket. I'm 27, so like again, like you say, that whole like realizing you're not quite, that sort of like teenager, like kid anymore, and you're actually got to do adult things, and like it's like
pay the bills and all that. Yeah, so the sooner something big can happen for me, the better. But I'm very much still enjoying the journey, and just seeing what happens.
Yeah, and you mentioned that overachiever thing, and that's something that I think a lot of people have. I'm quite similar myself in my work life and things like that. Is it again almost like the injury thing? Is it tough to sort of reel yourself in and take stock and be like, you know what, I'm doing quite well here. Like I don't need to maybe rush it as much as I think I need to, or something like that.
Yeah. So there's a few people who are always telling me to like not wish things away, and that I am actually doing like rather well. But for me, it's a sense. I'm a very impatient person, and I feel it's very hard. It's when I never used to get injured either pre-pandemic. I mean, I used to be in a Premiership rugby academy before I started wrestling. Just before whilst I was wrestling, I was at a Championship rugby club. So like I've always been an overachiever. Like I never got injured. But then since lockdown happened, I've been picking up niggles. I fractured my foot. It was a freak injury and like freak accident, I know, but it's just like it's very frustrating because this stuff didn't happen before, so it does make me think like I wish something can happen like now. But people, I do have people here to rein me in and tell me like I'm not doing as bad as what I think I am, or I am getting there. So yeah.
And yeah, that's needed at times, isn't it? And again, the injuries thing is sort of like maybe it's just a consequence of like you've been out for so long because of the lockdown that just getting back into it can also just have that effect on the body anyway.
Yeah, I mean, 2 years of not really doing any. Well, it's just under 2 years, but just going from doing something every weekend and being quite physically active to then not being able to do anything at all. And I actually got COVID in the first lockdown. Got it in May 2020. And I felt I was dying, man. I couldn't breathe. I was really rough for about a week, and then all of a sudden I was back to it again. But it's just crazy. Everything stopping, I feel like my body just kind of like shut down, and I was just like, yeah, well, we're not doing this anymore, so don't need to be robust. But oh well.
No, that's understandable. I think plenty of people have been like that as well. And you mentioned the rugby there. That's something I didn't know. So talk to me about that. Like when did you sort of like make that transition from rugby to wrestling? When did you decide to give up the rugby? And how long were you playing rugby for? Everything like
that. So I went to a private school. I was fortunate enough that my parents were able to put me through a private school. So since the age of 8, since the age of 8, I did rugby at school all the way up until year 13, so sixth form. And in year 11, at the end of year 11, I was able to get a Leicester Tigers academy tryout.
Wow.
I was unsuccessful there, but I got picked up by Sale Sharks.
Oh, cool.
So I was in Sale Sharks Academy from, I want to say 16, because I just started. I wasn't driving at the time, so 16, and then I got released at 19. I think so, yeah. So I was there for about 3 years, and then I went to Nottingham Academy, uh, and then I didn't get a first team contract. I remember my last game was against England under 20s. Played really well, I thought, but whatever it was, I didn't get offered the senior contract, so that's when I stopped. Really, I fell out of love with it a bit. I'd given quite a lot of my life and early years towards it. Not in a bitter way, but the whole like times where you'd have to be up really early to go and do a fitness session for like not very much money, and it was very draining for no reward, if that makes sense. I thoroughly enjoyed rugby, and I still watch it now, and a lot of my best friends have made it and have gone on to sign professional contracts. So kudos to them. But I was unsuccessful, so that was why I stepped into professional wrestling. But I feel professional wrestling is what I love. So say it's like a light at the end of the tunnel. A blessing in disguise. Me not being able to sign a first team contract.
Yeah, for sure. And if you don't know, if you don't mind, I want to pick up on that, just because you mentioned the overachieving stuff and wanting to be the best and sort of having that expectation of yourself. Do you think that disappointment with rugby sort of built that in your wrestling career, being like, proving to yourself that you were good enough to do this?
I think so, yeah, because although obviously when I was younger, so I didn't really have much of like adult problems and real world problems to deal with. Having failed at becoming a professional rugby player, I feel it lit the fire even more, because I know what that failure is, and I know what it did to me. So in terms of wrestling, I don't want to be there again. So it's very much I have to do this, not I want to do this.
Yeah, so, absolutely. Yeah. No, I totally understand. I totally get it. And we mentioned as well that after lockdown coming back wrestling, and with lockdown happening, we've spoken to a few wrestlers about this, but the fact that a lot of people got signed, they moved away, they moved back home, whatever, what have you, during the pandemic. And it seems like that is really what's given birth to this new breed of Brit Rest, because those guys have moved on and it's filled all these gaps that needed filling. And guys like yourself and younger guys, spoken to like Danny Black, Luke Jacobs, Ethan Allen, who are all coming through as well. Yeah. Are filling those gaps at the top of the card, in the middle of the card, that other people left by moving away. So obviously, everything that happened with the pandemic has been awful, and it's not been good. But has it been almost, again, like you say, like a blessing in disguise, where because of it, those wrestlers have moved on to better things, and that leaves these spots open for you guys to fill?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the big spot, what opened up was Rampage Brown signing to NXT UK. Obviously, he is the best heavyweight we've probably ever produced. In terms of like a real heavyweight.
Yeah.
And everyone, if you spoke to like an independent wrestling fan in the UK and said, "Oh, Rampage Brown," they'd be like, "Yeah, Rampage Brown," So for him, for me, he was the top guy, the top heavyweight. So when he got signed, obviously it's amazing for him, but I feel like on the indies there was that space for a new top heavyweight to step through. So that is certainly what I plan to and hopefully achieve. Being, I want people to be the same. Like I want you, say yourself, for instance, to go to another independent fan and go, this guy Will Kroos, and then be like, yeah, fucking, he's amazing,
Yeah, absolutely.
So that is, yeah. So it's obviously it's amazing for everyone who got signed and moved on to bigger and better things. But definitely it's an awakening for other people to step up to the plate and hopefully give them the ball and run with it. So
yeah, no, for sure, for sure, absolutely. Like you say, people, you want to be that guy that you say to your friends, "Oh, have you heard of Will Kroos?" They're like, "Yeah, of course I heard of Will Kroos."
Yeah,
that's what you wanted to be.
That's the scenario, If I was a fan and I knew Rampage Brown was on a show near me, I'd be like, "Oh, I'm going." So that's what I like. I want that reputation to be one of, if not the best heavyweights around. So that's and with obviously Rampage and like being signed and spaces opening up in on the Indies and opportunities opening up. Like I feel it's very achievable now. Not that it wasn't achievable before when he wasn't signed, but you know he had 25 years, you know, experience and class on me.
Yeah, it takes a little while to like sort of catch that.
Yeah, oh, for sure, especially with someone like him.
Yeah, for sure. And we mentioned obviously your hopes 2021 to wrestle progress other places like that, and we mentioned how you sort of like at the minute really dominating that north scene. And we've spoken to a few wrestlers up north about this, but talk to me about the scene at the minute up north because it seems to be absolutely thriving. You know, you've got huge promotions like North and TNT and Catch coming through and BWR and Tidal as well. That really just seem to be killing it show after show after show. I mean, what do you make of just the North scene in general? Because it seems like it's really sort of come on leaps and bounds. People think, I guess, like, apart from ICW, people think of like the big indie promotions in the UK, and they think like Rev Pro and Eve and Progress, which are all based in London. But the North has really come on leaps and bounds and is growing really quickly and having some fantastic matches.
I feel, you know, I feel for a while, especially like pre-lockdown, with technically the big company based down south. I feel like everyone was just, oh, the only good wrestling is down the south. So whilst we were up here still doing our thing, like shows are still amazing, and you know the amount of talent we have is really good. I kind of feel like people were like sleeping on us a bit. I don't feel like we've come back and. Well, I feel like we've come back and people are putting more of a shift in, but before lockdown, like people were still putting shifts in, and the shows are still like incredibly good, you know. So no, I feel like we are the standard bearers really of the British scene. Like you go to a northern based match and you base show, sorry, you try and pick me a bad match out, or you know, do you try and tell me someone who is on that card who shouldn't be on the card, or you tell me someone you don't know someone who's on that card? Because I guarantee you will know who they are. And like we built that ourselves, you know, like the promoters and the workers together have built something. What I feel like we're ever so proud of, and people like when they come to a show, they're like, "Bloody hell, this is like." Even though the company might not be as big as, say, a Progress or like Rev Pro or Eve, you know, people will still be like, this is like one of the best shows I've been to. So, you know, like we can hang, like given the opportunity on the bigger platform, like we can go and, you know, we can. I'm not ashamed to say that the North scene is amazing, you know.
And I don't know how you feel about it though, because as someone who again I'm based in London, so as someone who's based down south. And like, so the majority of shows I get to go to are in this area just purely by the fact that I live here. And if I lived up north, then they'd mainly be up north. But as someone who's obviously involved in the scene as a wrestler, how does it feel? Because as a viewer, as a fan, as a spectator, it seems like now more and more people are paying attention to that scene up north, to the Catches and to the TNTs and the Tidals and the Norths. You know, does it feel like that inwardly from someone who works at those promotions? Does it feel like more eyes are on you now?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, certainly the work like everyone put in last year when think like maybe the bigger shows weren't necessarily running because of COVID or for whatever reason. Excuse me.
That's right.
Yeah, I feel like people are now starting to take more of a notice, and you know, and it shows with the talent the northern shows are starting to provide and put on. I mean, TNT is a big one. You know, everyone's like they're amazing shows. You know, the connections they have with everyone. They bring imports in. Like people want to work for TNT. Like people want to work for North. People want to work for Tidal. You know, obviously people want to work for everyone, but. You know, like workers are going out the way to like send CVs, send messages to come up and work like in the North because of the reputation like everyone's built. So yeah, for sure, I feel people are starting to realise what hidden gem it really is.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, as we said earlier, we'll come on to your run with BWR and Tidal as well, because linking into that as those, you know, promotions are growing and that whole scene up north is growing, does it feel nice to be sort of like at the top of that with companies like Tidal and BWR where you hold the top belt?
Yeah, it's nice. I mean, like I said before, though, I'm never happy. So to me, it's great that people are putting their faith in, letting me do my thing at the top. But I want to make everything I go to and everything I do, I want to make it as big as possible.
Mm.
So until like I managed to get, well, not me personally, but until like the team at Tidal and the workers managed to sell out a big venue, we managed to do it. I don't feel special in any case. I just happen to be a cog in the machine. What's making it bigger and better. Like I said, it's nice. Like guys and promotions, guys, girls, whatever. Giving me the top spot, but in no way do I let it get to my head, or do I think I'm better than I am. I want to make everything bigger, better. I want to get British wrestling back to the top. I want everyone to be talking about it, talking about the guys, the girls, the refs. Everything about it. I just want to make it, the best it can be.
Yeah, for sure.
As long as and I'm sure like loads of people share the same opinions as me.
No, absolutely. No, well put. Well put. I'm going to move on to another segment now we've got, which is a relatively new one. It's called What's in a Name? And I just ask people about their names or their like nicknames, and we get the story behind that. So,
yeah.
I mean, simply put, tell us, what does it take to be Will Kroos, the headline? What does it take?
Oh, well, I guess, make him, it takes, like, for me, I have to, every show I go to, I have to have that thing where people go, blimey, like, do you see what that Will Kroos did? Whether that's me lifting somebody over my head, driving their head into the mat, doing a flip over the rope, a moonsault into the ring, So it's just the ability to surprise and amaze someone. If I can do that just for one person, like I'm not happy, but you know what I mean. Like if I feel like I've done something that day. So I'm pretty boring, really, in real life. I mean, what it takes to be me, I'm not special, really. I'm the same as everyone else. Like I'll wake up, breakfast. If I'm not at my real life job, I say real life job, just my normal job. If I'm not there, my shift's there at 7:30 in the morning till 9:30 at night. So it's a long
day,
shift.
yeah. If you don't mind me asking, what do you do?
I'm a nursing assistant, maximum secure hospital.
Oh wow, okay. Oh wow, fab. Yeah. Congratulations. Yeah, that's great. I mean, yeah, long shifts, but wow.
Yeah, it's rewarding, but at the same time, it's very long. It's not my ideal. Obviously, for me, I want to be a professional wrestler. So, but it just so happens that with the shifts being as long as they are in the week, it allows me to do everything I want to do in the weekends. And so yeah, so unless I'm at work, it's going to the gym, going to jiu-jitsu training. I've started jiu-jitsu training last year, which has just opened up another pathway for me. I mean, I love it. I never thought I'd do so well as what I'm doing and with it. I mean, I started in August last year, and I competed for the first time in November, and I won 2 golds in my weight category. So yeah, so for me it's very much I like being active. I like getting out of the house. So with having a fractured foot at the minute, it did not help when I first did it, not being able to walk. But yeah, just the gym, staying active, seeing people, seeing my friends. That's it really. But in terms of a show, like when it comes to show days, and it's very much I need to impress someone. Like if someone's not seen me before, I want to go to that show, and like if I see them again, I want people to come up to me and be like, "I saw you the other day, and you're amazing." Like that's what it is. That's for me.
No, for sure. Absolutely. And you mentioned a couple of bits there that I want to get into. Firstly, the jiu-jitsu. I mean, that's crazy cool as well. Do you think that's like, as well, sort of helped expand what you do in the ring wrestling-wise as well, knowing that extra stuff, that martial arts sort of stuff?
Yeah, I think it's opened up another area of what I didn't really feel like I was interested in before to now, I have a lot more time for it, knowing how hard it is, how much discipline and work goes into it. But yeah, it's amazing. If anyone is thinking about like joining it or doing it, just do it, because it really has made a big difference on my outlook. In terms of like my outlook in like day-to-day life as well, it's amazing the fundamentals, what you can take from jiu-jitsu and put into day-to-day life. It's really good, and it's definitely changed the way I look at things, and especially in wrestling as well, like bringing it back to wrestling. It's given me more stuff to be able to maybe try my matches, doing my matches. So yeah.
Yeah, and you mentioned those golds as well, and like those medals, and is that something that's we've spoken to a couple of wrestlers about this as well, like Roy Johnson, Debbie Cattell, who've done powerlifting. Is it like a different sort of gratification in a way, in terms of, you know, if you've won medals or placed in those sort of competitions that are, you know, I guess more seen as more legitimate sports because there's the actual competitiveness, then it's a different type of gratification than, say, like a company puts the belt on you because they have faith in you. But when you win a medal or something in martial arts, it's because you're the best. It's because you've earned that.
Yeah. So, although obviously it was only like white belt, so the beginner entry level belt, I was against people who had been doing it 3-4 years as well. So whereas I'd only been doing it 4 or 5 months. So there's a lot of, and I mean, jiu-jitsu is like wrestling. There is just, you're never going to stop learning. There's always something like new you can learn, or a different way of doing something. So yeah, no, the gratification was nice, like knowing that on that day I was the best there. So yeah, that was a nice thing. Yeah.
For sure, yeah. Well, no, Will, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. And we're going to end with one final segment. And this is, you know, you mentioned about yourself and your personal life. This is a more like shoot thing. So this is about you as a person rather than as a wrestler. So I'm just going to feed you some questions and you let me know.
Yeah.
So the first one is my favourite pre-show meal.
Oh, I love a Nando's. If I could get Nando's, like, that's where I'd go for a pre-show meal. Yeah.
Nice. What'd you get?
I'd get a chicken wrap with garlic bread and rice.
Nice. Yeah, good shout. Well, leading on from that, the next one is my favourite post-pinfall pig out.
Oh, see, the usual for me, normally because it's quite late or I'm quite far away from my house, it's normally just a middleweight services. So it's not very it's not very entertaining really. It's normally just a McDonald's, but it's normally just McDonald's really, just based on simply the time and where we are.
No, we get that a lot. That's a common answer. What's your order?
I have 5 chicken selects.
Nice. Okay, I've not had those. I've never had the chicken selects. Are they good?
Yeah. I personally feel like them. But for me, especially if I'm doing quite well, I suffer with like an eating disorder. So right. I try to have the best thing I feel is for me, even though it's still a bad thing. Sure.
No, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. I get that.
It's the chicken selects.
No, sure. Next one is the song that gets me the most hyped.
Oh. See, I'm a big fan of I Will Be Heard by Hatebreed, which is what Rampage used to come out. Like every time I heard it, I just like, this is like, yeah, I'm pumped.
Did you like that? Because like, are you a metal guy generally, or like did you?
Yeah, I'm a big metal guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering if it was that, or if it's because like you'd like heard around that you just always link it with Rampage, and so it's just got that like.
Oh no, yeah, I'm a big metal guy. So like, as soon as I see it, and then like seeing like him come out to it and people reacting, I was like, this is so dope. Like,
nice.
Yeah, I'll go with that just for the simplicity of it. Yeah.
Nice. Well, as a metal guy myself, I'm intrigued by the next one, because the next one is my favourite band of all time.
Bring Me the Horizon.
That's a good shout. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen them live 3 or 4 times now. So, yeah, I never used to go and see live bands, but then the first time I saw Bring Me the Horizon, I was like, this is just amazing.
I've heard they're good. I had tickets to see them like at the O2 when they toured literally like last year. And I got this really bad, like, never had it before in my life. Like, the day before, I got this mega bad cramp in my foot, and I, like, couldn't walk. And I was like, oh, come on. So I couldn't
Yeah,
go. I was gutted.
Attila were good. I don't know if you've heard of
Yeah,
Attila,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I saw them in Manchester in 2 or 3 years ago. They were really good. I've seen Limp Bizkit
Nice.
in April this year, so I can't. I think it's April or May. I think I can't remember when.
Nice.
But they're in
I've
Manchester.
never really been into the new metal scene, but obviously I know people that like Limp Bizkit. Limp Bizkit are one of those bands that loads of people
Oh,
just seem to like.
I love Limp Bizkit. The new album's not so great,
Mm.
but yeah, I'm a huge fan of Fred Durst, and they're nice.
Nice, nice. The next one is the movie that I chose, The Locker Room.
I don't know. Like, I very much love comedy films.
Mm.
And I'm gonna go with Step Brothers because I know everyone would laugh at it. Like Step Brothers or Anchorman. I'm a big Will Ferrell guy as well. So
Yeah, Will Ferrell classic.
yeah, but like I'd almost go Your Highness, but I feel like that'd be too weird, and some people won't laugh as much as what I would laugh.
Yeah, sure.
It's a weird humour. But yeah, I'll go with Step Brothers just because it's an easy watch.
Nice, yeah, great film, great film. The next one is my favourite way to relax.
Oh, I just like I don't really relax. I don't switch off. With like my day job.
I was gonna say, how do you find even time to do anything else when you're?
It's very hard. I do find it hard to switch off. But in terms of relaxing, it will just literally just be get my feet up at home on the well, like a buffet thing next to in front of my settee, and it literally just be me and my partner, and we'll just watch some telly.
Nice. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like, away from these questions for a second, it's important that, isn't it? Especially like you said with your day job, with those shifts, that's crazy. Like, it's important to find that downtime if you can, like to just wind down.
My partner, she's a medical dispatcher as well, so she's very much like hears a lot of like stuff and deals with a lot of stuff as well. So for us, any time we get to chill out or like hang out, it's very rewarding and nice.
For sure, all worth it, absolutely. The next one is my first job.
So my first job outside of school was I was a delivery driver for my friend's dad's company. I must have made it about 2 weeks into it before he fired me.
Why was that?
I was going through the student phase. I just wanted to start going to uni,
Right. What sort of delivering was it? Was it like equipment or was it like food or?
It was a big paper company.
Right.
So yeah, there was just one day where I just didn't show up, and it was I felt bad because obviously at the time he was he still is. He's one of my best friend's dad.
I was going to say, you still friends with him? Are you?
Yeah, still friends. I saw him this weekend, just gone in London actually. But yeah, from that it was just like before it gets any worse. Well, look, come on.
Yeah. Amazing,
and then
brilliant.
After that, I worked on a farm for a bit.
Oh, okay, that's very different.
Yeah, so my mum's a landowner, and she used to farm. Her and her sister used to farm. My granddad always wanted sons, but ended up having 3 daughters. So they were the farmers, and then I started doing it for a bit.
Right. Yeah. How was that instead? Was that more rewarding? Was that nicer?
It was. I say easier. It was just longer hours. Like I was up at, especially in harvest time. Like I'd be up at like 3:30 in the morning. I wouldn't be getting into like 12 at night, just because of having to get the harvesting. So
yeah, I can't believe you've not brought that farmer gimmick.
Sorry,
I was going to say I can't believe you've not brought that farmer gimmick into the ring.
But you'd be surprised. Like my closest friends in wrestling have asked, like, when am I going to bring out the dungarees and the straw hat? But yeah, no, it was easy. It was hard, but like easy enough because you literally just sat in a tractor for 17 hours.
Nice. How is it getting behind the wheel of a tractor? I imagine that's quite cool.
So the first time I say my first job was delivering. My first like properly paid job was for my friend, but I actually first drove a tractor at 16 on the road. So it's quite nerve wracking. I feel like you don't realise how big a tractor is until you're physically sat in it. And then, especially when you have a full 32-ton trailer of like potatoes behind you, and you're going at 30 mile an hour in a tractor is a lot faster than what 30 mile an hour in a car is.
I imagine, yeah. I imagine. Yeah, because it's already
So
open, and yeah.
yeah, it's very nerve wracking. Really, I didn't really like it.
No, fair enough. Fair. The next one is my greatest fear.
Oh, I hate spiders.
Same. I feel you
So if
there.
I like going to Australia and just seeing like a big spider, that's enough for me. That's
Yeah.
me out.
Yeah. I've not been to Australia before. I'd love to go to Australia, but I'm like, oh no, if there's a spider, I was like, no, they're huge
Yeah,
over
I'm the
there.
same. Like, I'd love to go, but you know, the minute I see one, I'd be like, please get me back home.
Yeah, I'm the guy that like my partner, like if I see a spider in the bedroom, I'll be like, right, I'm gonna step out of the bedroom, you deal with that, and I'll come back when it's gone.
Well, my partner hates them just as much as me, so it is me who has to deal with it. But you should see me, man. It's a You Being Framed classic, I'm sure.
Amazing, brilliant. A couple of wrestling ones, and next. Next one is my favorite wrestling match ever.
As in like my
It can be either. It can be one you've been in or one you've watched. Doesn't matter.
For me, the greatest wrestling story for me, I love WrestleMania 17, like with Rock and Austin, purely because of the hype package, what they did. Obviously, it's Limp Bizkit again.
Yeah.
But just the way they did it, the way they made like me feel through that match and like wanting to see that match. Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I used to love watching Mike Awesome and Tanaka in ECW. Just smash each other. It was amazing.
Yeah, brutal.
Again, Misawa and Kobashi from like Noah and All Japan in the late 90s, early 90s. Yeah.
Yeah. No, fab. Yeah.
I was a big fan of Shawn and Flair as well at Mania. I can't remember which Mania it was. But
Shawn Flair was 24, I think, wasn't it? 24.
Yeah, when he retired him. Yeah, that was storytelling at its finest. That.
Yeah, no, totally agree. And that Rock Austin one, like you say, that's still one of the greatest hype packages like ever.
Oh, anytime I see it, if I see it come up on my feed, I'll just watch it just purely because of how it makes me feel and like goosebumps.
Yeah, no, it's so good. It's so good. And the next one is the obligatory My Dream Match.
Kobashi, like if he was like in his prime still, and like if he could still go, like him or Misawa would be chef's kiss. But, yeah, I'd look. If Joe wrestled again, I'd love to wrestle Joe. Joe.
That would be a matchup for sure.
Yeah, I'd love to do that one. Yeah, just one of those three. But like, if Kobashi, like that would be like my dream if he ever did wrestle again. But
yeah, no, that would be awesome. That would be awesome.
I doubt it'd ever happen. Like, well, I know it will probably never happen, but
can always dream. Can always dream.
Yeah, that would be my dream.
And a couple more. The next one is my favorite place in the world.
Oh.
It doesn't have to be necessarily a country. Like it can be literally like Scotty Rourke said, his bed. But like it can be a country or a town or a street or something in your, like.
To be fair, I love my school. Like I love my school days. So if I could go back there and like if I could go back in time and do it all again, I definitely would. So
really, that's not an answer people normally say. Normally, school is the one people are like, "Oh, I'm glad I'm not there anymore."
No, like for me, like it really is. Like I know people have different experiences for me, but like it really was like the best years of my life. Like all my friends, all together, like the environment, playing sport together. No, and like not having care. Like we don't have adulting to deal with.
That is. Yeah, I agree with you on that. That is the time I look back when like real adult stuff's happening, and I look back and I'm like, oh god, I remember when I didn't have those responsibilities.
Yeah, I remember when I was 13 and getting told off by all the teachers and messing around with my mates at school. Yeah.
Amazing.
Told off by my parents.
Well, you're definitely the first person that said school. So I can say that
It has to be in context though. Like you'd have to, like if you ever told someone, like you'd have to explain it to them.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah.
And then the final one is my dream holiday destination.
Well, I love skiing anyway. I'd love to like Banff or like Wyoming skiing, like somewhere like a big resort like that where the snow is amazing. Like I love skiing, so
nice.
Well, I snowboard, but yeah.
Nice. Oh, that's cool. How long have you been doing that?
So again, I happened to start through school. I was fortunate enough that I did a school trip there. So I think I first went when I was 13. 13 I first went, yeah. And
Nice.
then I've tried to go every year. I didn't go again till I was 16. And then every year from 17 to 20 I went. And then because of lockdown, so I went in 2020. I went in January 2020 with my partner. And we were wanting to go again. This year was going to go again. This year, France cancelled it because the Prime Minister closed the borders. We rebooked it for the second week in February. I got booked for ICW, so.
So you were like, nah, the president, it's got
not going. Yeah, so there's other important things. Yeah.
I'm sure you get there soon. No worries.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I love it. I try if I can. Like we try and go every year.
No, that's awesome. That's really cool. No, fab. Well, Will, thanks so much for taking the time to chat to us today. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate your time. I know you're busy, and so that means a lot. And yeah,
no, thanks for having me. Yeah,
we give our wrestlers a bit of like just promo time to end the show. So if anyone watches this, if anyone checks out your social media and sees you on a show near them or anything like that, why is Will Kroos the guy to come and see? Why are you going to steal the show?
I guarantee you will not see a guy as big as me do the things I do the moves I do. Be able to throw people around how I do, and I can guarantee you'll have the best time watching me. You'll want to come and see me again.